Hey guys, welcome back to Jess and Reads Romance. I'm Jessin, and today is the start of a new reading vlog. Today, one of my most anticipated reads for 2022 has released. Yes, I'm talking about Penpal by J.T. Geisinger. I'm very excited to jump into that one. It will be the first one on this vlog, and then I do hope to read a couple of new to me authors. I don't know how many I'll actually get to during this week, but I'm going to try for at least 2. And before I get into that little bit of controversy surrounding Penpal, I do have to say a special thank you to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring today's video. Yes, I did get more new glasses. It's an addiction. It's not a curse because GlassesUSA.com makes it super affordable for me to supplement this addiction. They were kind enough to send me 3 different pairs of glasses, and if you like any of the styles that I'm about to show you, I will link them down in the description box below. And hey, if you're not a glasses girl like me, GlassesUSA.com also offers contact lenses. You can get 25% off name brands like AccuV, Biofinity, and Vista Plus. I also need to get another box of contacts. I'm just remembering this because I'm completely out for those occasions that I do actually want to wear them. There's so many different styles to choose from, over 10,000 available on their website with name brands like Gucci and Ray-Ban. My personal favorites are an in-house brand named Muse. These are my Muse Nancy's. You probably have seen me wearing them in most of my videos because I've been wearing them for the past 2 years and they're one of my go-tos. I love them so much, but I'm still always looking for those unique glasses because, like I said, it's an addiction. When browsing for my new glasses, I use their virtual try-on tool, which allows you to test out the fit of the glasses before actually purchasing them to see which styles flatter you the most. I definitely use this one and I was on there for like ever because there was too many good ones to choose from. But hey, if you don't like the ones that you got, it's no problem. They offer free shipping and return, so it's very hassle-free. I'm so excited to try on these new glasses for you. I decided to go with 2 different prescription sunglasses and 1 regular pair of glasses, but I wanted to do the sunglasses first. I did decide to get a pretty unique pair. I don't have anything like this one. These are the Atoto Hex in blue gold. I thought it would be really fun to have a different shape and style than I've had before. Let's try them on. Oh yeah. I love them. I love them. They're so different, so unique. So what I actually did was I upgraded the lenses and I adjusted the opacity. You can also decide if you want to have them polarized or mirrored. That is an option that you can add on in checkout. The other pair of sunglasses I got were the Yogi Osakas in brown gold. These are more classic style, something that you could wear every day. And oh my goodness, I love these already. Yes, I'm going to be wearing these so often. Oh, these are awesome. But that's not it. I have a regular pair for you guys. Last but certainly not least are my Muse Athernes. These have an adorable little bit of sparkle on the sides. You guys know that I love my sparkle glasses. So when I saw that one of my favorite brands, Muse, had these clear / kind of like purple lilac versions, I had to have them. And I will be wearing them for the rest of this video. Look how cute they are. They are perfect. I loved the way that these looked in my virtual try-on and they look perfect. So thank you again to GlassesUSA.com for styling me for this new vlog. Now let's get into the little bit of controversy surrounding Penpal by J.T. Geisinger. And I don't want to like blow this out of proportion or anything. I say controversy. I just know that a lot of my friends who are very excited about reading Penpal, like I am, they've been a little bit disappointed in the way that JT has marketed and categorized this book. Now, way back in January of this year, JT announced that she was going to be writing a dark romance called Penpal. I love reading dark romance, and I also am a huge fan of her Queens and Monsters series, so of course I was so beyond excited for this dark romance Penpal. I read the synopsis and I was like, oh, this is going to be a book that I'm going to love. I just knew it. I was so down for JT getting a little bit darker because her Queens and Monsters series is very like, it's mafia, but it's lighthearted, it's very bantery, it's very quippy, and I love that about the series. It made it very different from any other mafia that I've read. So I wanted to see what JT could do, like getting a little bit darker, going darker with her themes and possibly characters. Again, this was marketed as a dark romance by JT herself. And it wasn't until a few weeks ago that she started posting in her Facebook group, the Geisinger Gang, and also on her author page as well, saying that it was a non-traditional romance with a non-traditional HEA. And I'll circle back to that in just a second, but after a few ARC readers did put in complaints about there being a very severe lack of trigger warnings and also the book being categorized as a dark romance, it just wasn't adding up. And I have stayed stayed relatively spoiler free. I know a couple of the trigger warnings that she eventually attached to the book. I also really don't like the way that she phrased it when she did correct the need for trigger warnings. She basically warned people who were sensitive readers to not dive into this book. And even though I'm not a person who normally reads trigger warnings, there are certain things that I feel like my friends know to look out for me. They're very minor, but for some people, trigger warnings are so important. And I've talked about this so many times on my channel about the need for trigger warnings and trigger warnings not being spoilers, but it seems to be kind of the excuse that JT was using in order to not explicitly state the trigger warnings because it would be a spoiler. She wanted to write a dark and twisty type of story, and I say story because, again, I don't know if this could be categorized as a dark romance. We will see. I do know that she kind of didn't announce this, but she did change her category on Amazon to psychological thriller, which I believe that is actually what she's trying to write. And I don't think that authors should be hemmed into the romance genre if they want to write other things. I only want transparency. If you as an author are feeling like you want to write outside the romance genre, but still have like that little romantic through line that you usually write, but focus on something a little bit different, just say that. Just say, I'm writing a psychological thriller and it has a little romantic relationship, but I wouldn't categorize it as romance. And if she would have said that, if she would have from the beginning marketed this as a psychological thriller with romantic elements, I would have absolutely zero issue. One of the books that I haven't read by her is Perfect Strangers because I knew ahead of time, so many people warned me, hey, you're probably not gonna like that because the HEA, very iffy. Like some people love it, but I don't know if I would call that an HEA. I was warned, so guess what? I never picked up that book. It's so different for Penpal because JT herself, again, was marketing this as dark romance. From the beginning, literally, she did it herself. Actually, it was like 3 days ago that she was posting and it still had the tag dark romance. So she's consistently marketed this to her romance fans. And I have a problem with that because I know what I like to read and I like to specifically read romance. I don't normally like to read like psychological thrillers. Haven't read Gone Girl, haven't read Girl on a Train. My mom loves that. Like my mom would probably be the perfect audience for JT Geisinger, like what she wants to write. She wants to write straight up romance and then she also wants to sidestep into the psychological thriller. Like my mom loves that. And I know that there's crossover. I am not one of them. And that's why I kind of feel a little bit lied to and why I'm still going to read it, even though she's now kind of like being like, oh, non-traditional romance, non-traditional HA. Let's talk about that. I don't like that she is saying that this is a non-traditional romance and a non-traditional HEA. To me, there's no such thing as a non-traditional romance. You're trying to break the mold for romance, and I have such a serious issue with that. I talked to Malia from Romance Schmomance, and she said romance is not broken, and I could not agree more. Romance is formulaic in the fact that you are guaranteed an HEA. If that HEA is in question, then just don't label it a romance. Label it something else with romantic elements. It's as simple as that. Romance is not broken. There's either an HEA or there's not, or there's a happy for now or there's not. And I will be the judge of that as I read this book. So anyway, let's get into the actual story. The setup, I will say, has been a little bit underwhelming just because it's very hard for me to understand what is going on with the heroine Kayla. We really don't know much about her, like nothing. And I'm not exaggerating. And I think it possibly could be purposeful. The reason why we know nothing about her is because there are some revelations that JT probably wants to do later on. But this is probably the least compelling first few chapters that I've ever read by JT Geisinger. And I don't know if it's my expectations as like a dark romance reader that I'm just expecting the first couple of chapters to really wow me, and they haven't. All we know is that Kayla has lost her husband. She is at a funeral and then she goes back to her house. This, I think she says it was a Queen Anne style of house that they bought together like 6 years ago. It is a work in progress. It needs so much maintenance. And now she has to handle that all herself. So she just seems like a little bit depressed, and she has these very weird moments with other people. One of the first interactions is with a housekeeper that comes every Monday or every other Monday or whatever. Kayla is mopping up the floor because there is a leak. It's another new problem in this house of endless maintenance issues, and she's mopping it up. Her housekeeper comes in and screams like bloody murder when she sees Kayla. And I'm just like, that is such an odd reaction. It is not explained. The housekeeper looks like shooketh, and nothing is ever explained. And I haven't seen the housekeeper again since then. It's just all a little bit suspicious. So she calls a repairman and she has this guy come over. And like I said, again, just a weird interaction with this guy. He's young. She's like, oh, he probably is from a commune or something. He probably smoked pot before he came here. And he's basically saying nothing's wrong with my lights because she has another issue with flickering lights. And he's saying nothing's wrong. But yeah, you definitely do have a hole in one of your roofs and it's going to take a specialist. So she has to call yet another person. And this really hot, muscled, tattooed guy named Aiden knocks on her door. And again, weird interaction between her and Aiden. Like, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just such weird dialogue going on. It's just some strange choices that I think that JT is making so far. And I can't really put my finger on it other than to say that I'm not super invested in the story so far. And that's not a great place to be at like 20% in. She's also experiencing these debilitating headaches. The first handyman suggested psychosomatic disorder. She's also experiencing some like debilitating headaches and stuff like that, which could play into some of the weirdness, possibly because we're in her perspective. Maybe we're seeing it through a weird lens, her lens. I don't know if anything is going on with her mentally, but again, dark romance, so we'll see. She's also, like, there's just a lot of pieces going on right now. She's also receiving these letters from an inmate, apparently from the Washington State Penitentiary, and I don't remember exactly what was in the first one because she actually responded to him, which I was kind of like mind blown. I'm like, why are you responding to this inmate? Anyway, but it's signed Dante, and I don't think that this is the real person. I don't think it's his real name, is what I'm saying. JT also included a quote at the beginning of this book from Dante's Inferno, so I think that it's mostly symbolic. We'll figure out who Dante is, I'm sure. But again, I'm not that far in, and I will let you guys know what I think the further I read. Okay. I'm gonna do a little bit of theorizing, okay? I actually didn't get that much further into the book. I'm about like 32-ish% in, but I do have some thoughts. I am trying to figure out what's going on because I feel like most of the choices that I find to be weird are probably a deliberate choice by JT to keep certain aspects about the heroine and the situation a secret from the reader. We're supposed to be in the dark because JT's trying to do a twist or something. I'm just gonna put out a spoiler warning because I don't know if I'm correct or not. I am just theorizing. I'm just like throwing stuff out there. Also, thank you to Caitlin because I have been messaging her a lot this morning. But yeah, spoiler warning just in case any of these theories turn out to be right or you just don't want to hear any of my theories and you just want to hear my general thoughts. So right now at this point in the story, Kayla, the heroine, has slept with Aiden, which I'm assuming he's the hero of the story. I'm not sure. I could be totally wrong. There could be another guy. Dante could be the hero of the story. I highly doubt it. But anyway, again, theories. I find the way that they slept together to be weird. Is that going to be my phrase, my catchphrase for this vlog and for this book is everything's weird? I don't know. Maybe it'll tie in together, but I don't really love the way that it happened. And so far, their relationship just seems very insta-lust and I didn't really vibe for it. Like, yeah, it's objectively hot, but it didn't do anything for me. Like, I'm just kind of still wondering, what kind of person is Kayla? I don't even know. I don't know much about her, to tell you the truth. Nothing about her background. She doesn't seem like she has any friends. She doesn't seem like she has any family worried about her. And she just has weird interactions with strangers. So she thinks that she hears creaking outside or above her at the second story. I think she's in her office possibly. Late at night at 1 o'clock in the morning, she decides to run to Dante's house. She does know where he lives because she had a chance run into him while she was going to a bar. Apparently he has an apartment above that bar. Anyway, she knows where he lives, so she runs her little butt over there. No bra, no panties, how perfect. And they bang like fucking rabbits. And oh my God, can I tell you, I did not vibe with the whole bunny / lion talk. It came off as very cliche and cheesy to me. I did not find that hot at all. I know that it's supposed to have like this cat and mouse, a little bit of like primal play, a little bit of non-con, pretend like you're trying to run away from me and I'll catch you and like force you type of thing that they're doing, like a role play situation. And that's supposed to be like come off as really hot, but I was just reading it and just kind of like, okay, that happened. I don't feel a connection to Kayla and I don't feel a connection to Aiden. He's just come off as kind of like a grumpy asshole character who really wants to bang her, and she has lost her husband. I also find it very interesting that she keeps saying that he's gone. She didn't tell Aiden that her husband died. She's like, he's gone, he left me. So I'm like, is he dead or is he not? She's only referred to the accident when it came to her husband, Michael. There was also a weird, I'm so sorry, there's also a weird scene where she was wearing a scarf like inside her house when Aiden first, or maybe the second time Aiden came to her house to look at things. And after he left, she goes into the bathroom. I think it was the first time. She goes into the bathroom, takes off the scarf, and she sees bruising, and she says it explicitly looks like a thumb mark on her neck. And then she wonders, oh, maybe it's from the accident. And I'm like, what kind of accident gives you a hand mark on your neck? So sus. And now after, you know, they've banged and he's feeling very possessive, Aiden's like, I'm gonna send my friend Jake to your house and we're gonna get a security system involved for you. So he's immediately possessive, immediately like taking over, like I said, like insta lust. So I have a theory, and it could be totally wrong. I've run by so many theories by Caitlin, and she hasn't told me a thing. She's just like, haha, laughing. But my theory ties into another couple of things that I've been ruminating on. She just mentioned when she went outside that her husband had a boat and he named it Eurydice. And apparently he likes the classics like Greek mythology and stuff like that. She mentioned previously that he was a bit of an education snob. He would probably look down on Aiden because he's a manual laborer, and also he couldn't understand why Kayla herself only stopped at a bachelor's degree. But I think he taught at school. He either taught at university or a school. Again, very little information, but I think it's on purpose and it ties into my theory. Roundabout way of saying there's been some red flag moments. At the funeral in the beginning, she notices this woman who she can't even remember her name. And she remembers this woman to be a coworker of Michael's. And the only thing that she remembers about this girl is that she referred to her husband, Michael, as a prick. And then we get the little instance about Michael being an education snob and looking down on people who aren't as highly educated as him. We have this obsession with Greek mythology. Then we have this guy sending her letters named Dante. And I'm like, okay, my theory is that her husband, maybe not dead, possibly, I don't know. And if he's not dead, could her husband actually be Dante, and could he be in prison for abusing her, possibly trying to kill her, and that be the accident that we were referring to? I'm not sure about the funeral though in the beginning. I did go back to the beginning, did go back to the first chapter because I wanted to see, did she explicitly say that this was Michael's funeral? And she did say that it was her husband's casket. So I don't know, but this is the only theory that I have working for me right now, is that I think her husband was for sure abusive, or at the very least she was being abused by someone, because she notices one of the first instances that she actually refers to personal items in the house besides her office, her sanctuary, is this wedding photo of her and Michael, and apparently Michael's smiling in the photo and she's not. And then she's never noticed this before. It's been 6 years since they've been in the house. I don't know how long they were married for, but there's a smudge on her arm. She's like, man, it looks like a bruise. And she's wondering about that. Like, she's never noticed it before. So I think that she has some sort of PTSD. She has totally blocked a lot of things out about her relationship with her husband or whoever who was abusing her. I definitely feel like this possibly lends itself to the way that JT is writing this. But again, I can't say that I'm like super compelled about the characters. I'm more compelled to see if I can figure out the twist. But there are so many different types of like dark qualities that you can use in your book to make it dark. It could be the tone, overall tone is darker. There could be dark themes being explored, like abuse. The relationship itself could be dark, like an unconventional relationship that we would not condone like in reality, but it's fantasy, so we call it dark. Yeah, and we'll see. I don't know exactly why this is dark, but we will see. Okay, I need to stop updating you guys, because if I do have a clip for every like 10% that I make it in the book, this is gonna be way too long. So I'm probably not gonna update you guys until the very end so that I can give you my overall thoughts with the execution. Does this fall more into psychological thriller and should never have a romance category attached to it? Or can there be a reasonable argument for this being labeled romance? I don't know. Hello, friends. It's time to update you guys on Penpal. I finished Penpal a couple of hours ago, and I needed to sit with it for just a second before I came on camera and talked about it. So in general, and I will be getting into spoilers later, but I will let you guys know when I will actually tell you like what's going on in the book and why I feel the way I feel, all that jazz. But in general, at the end of Penpal, I can safely say that I don't think that this belongs in the category of romance. I think that there's definitely something that excludes it from the category of romance, and yeah. I honestly don't even think that this book is romantic. It is erotic. It is just full of sex scenes that, to me, felt emotionless. It was just very, very erotic. It was titillating. There was lots of wonderful scenes that the author could grab some quotes and post them for TikTok consumption when TikTok is like, oh my god, book's so spicy. And I don't vibe with that. Like, of course, I love a hot scene, but like, make it mean something. Make me feel something for the characters. And I just did not feel anything for these characters as individuals and as a couple. Like, very little in this book that actually made me connect with them. I sympathize with them, but I wasn't rooting for them because the whole time I felt like this book was a little bit strange. So I'm gonna give this book a 2-star. And the reason why I'm giving it a 2-star is because even if I was going to judge it based on like the category of psychological thriller, it didn't thrill me. I was quite confused instead of compelled. It just wasn't gripping. I don't know how else to put it. So I really don't even think that it was that great of a psychological thriller. And part of the reason why I think it wasn't is because, you know, a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say anything about that. But before anybody like jumps on my case and be like, oh, you shouldn't judge it as a romance, like you shouldn't dock any stars because it wasn't a romance because she said it was non-traditional. I've already done my due diligence by explaining why I think that that is a cop-out and there's no such thing. And also she is still tagging in her posts the hashtag dark romance. So sis, you want me to judge the book as a romance. You're marketing it to romance readers. And no offense to anybody who really was blown away by this book, that is totally your opinion. It was not mine. So let's dive into spoilers. Okay, so Kayla, I was picking up on all the weirdness, and all the weirdness had to do with the plot twist, okay? The plot twist is that Kayla is dead. That's right, our main character, the heroine of the story, is a ghost. She is a ghost. Her housekeeper, that's why she was so shocked at seeing her in the beginning, because the housekeeper just so happened to be a little bit psychic, okay? Not only is Kayla a ghost, but the quote-unquote hero of the story, Aiden/Dante, they are the same person, he is also dead. And I don't think that them being able to be with each other at the very end constitutes an HEA. I thought it was so unsatisfying. It was unbelievable. I started to pick up on Kayla being the dead one. I had so many theories. Caitlin can tell you. Like, I was going all kinds of ways. I was always really kind of planning it to where Aiden and Kayla were alive. Like, that was my assumption throughout the book. Like, okay, well, these two are probably gonna be alive. And I feel like that was kind of a cheap shot to make them both dead. So like I said, I had lots of theories, like maybe her husband isn't really dead. Then one of the last ones I sent to Caitlin before I clued in that she was dead was maybe it's alternate timelines. And there is technically alternate timelines. We do get to see when Kayla meets Aiden for the first time, but it is on a different timeline. When she's receiving letters from Dante, they're both dead, but when we see scenes of them actually together, having sex together, that is in the past before her husband kills her and him. So it is a dual timeline. I did pick up on that eventually, but it was around, I'm not quite sure when it happened, if it was 70% into the book or 80%. I think it was more 80 maybe. But there was a scene where she keeps seeing this little boy, and at first she thinks he's the ghost, but when the little boy actually sees her and screams, I was like, is she dead? And I sent a voice message to Caitlin, and I was just like, if she's dead, I'm gonna be so mad. And she was. She ended up by being dead. And the epilogue, that epilogue was so unsatisfying. The reason why her husband killed her, and he was abusive, but I also really, really hated the fact that her husband was abusive with a caveat of it was because he had a mental illness. because he had a psychosis. I'm pretty sure they specifically mentioned that it was schizophrenia, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But where he saw things and he believed things that were untrue. It caused him to abuse Kayla. It also caused him to abuse her in such a manner where she miscarried a child very late in her term. So this heroine has gone through trauma. I feel like all that trauma was really glossed over for the sake of being like an aha moment. Like, I bet you never would have guessed this moment, and I hated that. With the husband being psychotic and having an episode where after they divorced, he ends up by following, he's kind of been stalking Kayla a little bit, and he ends up by following them on New Year's Eve and holds Aiden at gunpoint, thinking that he's part of the CIA and he needs to kill him. And he ends up by killing Aiden and then taking her out into the lake and drowning her. It was very A Beautiful Mind type of thing, except A Beautiful Mind worked. And I would never read a book like that because it's not a romance. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind watching stuff like this. I don't want to invest my time in something that isn't a romance when I'm reading. It's not that I don't enjoy stories that are told like that, but I prefer to consume that in a different type of media. Even if this book was turned into a movie, I don't think that I would have appreciated the plot twist that they're both dead. And now it's like, oh, we can go get our revenge. So they're literally tormenting a person who has multiple mental disorders as he's about to stand on trial for their deaths. And I'm just like, sounds a little messed up to me. I don't know. I mean, so that's why I am rating this 2 stars, because I feel like it was a cheap party trick to have them both be dead, especially the heroine, in which the story was told through her eyes. We only get Aiden's point of view toward the end. And it was just in hindsight to be like, oh yeah, we actually did have conversations about her being married and like what she was going through with her husband. And I was like, wow, that's character development that I would have preferred to see like on page whenever I was trying to be invested in their relationship. But all we knew was that they were fuck buddies, and she wasn't even telling him that her husband was dead. But I guess I guess her mind was splitting a little bit between present day and the past. I don't know. It's very weird, very weird. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this book except it did not work for me. And it really, in general, did not feel extremely dark. Like, I was just expecting something completely different when she kept marketing this as dark romance. Again, I don't think we get our HEA, but I also just don't feel like the snippets and stuff that she shared fit with the story that she told. The tones were really different, even though she has a couple of topics that she briefly touches on that are quite serious. All of it is dealt with in almost a matter of fact, let's gloss over this situation type of way. And I just don't think it worked. I don't think it worked at all. Very, very, very disappointed. And it puts a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth for future releases by this author, which is so unfortunate because, like I said, I have loved her Queens and Monsters series. Like, I've shouted them from the rooftops. I thought that they were phenomenal, which is kind of ironic because I'm pretty sure in her Facebook group, her private fan group, someone had asked her like which books of hers that she's written are her favorite ones, and none of them were the Queens and Monsters ones. So I'm wondering if she like just really did not like writing Queens and Monsters, even though they were just such a gigantic hit, and we're just never gonna get anything like that again. I'm not sure. Yeah. So I need to pick a different book to cleanse the palette. So I have 2 different, I think, shifter types of books. I have Phase of Fate, which is by Coralie June, and Wolf Cursed by Heather Hildenbrand. And I also have Shattered Stars, which is the Catherine Cowles. That series has been making its way around Bookstagram, and I would really love to pick this one up. 50% of the reason why I want to pick it up is because the covers are so beautiful. And listen, Tori from Novel Life has taken some really gorgeous pictures featuring this series. So it's pretty much Tori's fault that I want to read this series. Stop taking such beautiful pictures. Okay, so I don't know if I want to read, am I in the mood for like a fantasy shifter paranormal romance, or am I in the mood for something, maybe I will wait on the Catherine Cowles one. Maybe the shifter ones will be a better palette cleanser after this tragedy of a non-romance that I just read. Okay, this is interesting. An interesting concept. we have the heroine, which I don't know what her name is, but apparently her sister is like the favored child. And in this world, all leaders, scientists, and artists are selected and pledged to shifters. Apparently her sister is pledged to a guardian shifter. And I'm not sure what the distinction between just regular shifters and a guardian shifter is, or if are they the same thing? We don't know. But apparently our heroine trespasses onto pack lands and gets herself bonded to an alpha guardian shifter, but something makes her reject the pairing. So this is a rejected mates pairing, and like, I don't know, I've been into like the whole rejected mate thing. I think I'm gonna go with the Coralie June, because I think that, I don't know, I'm just gonna go with that one. My instinct is saying that one. So I'll let you guys know what's happening once I get further into this book. Good morning. I'm doing a quick update because guess who had insomnia last night? Me. Are we surprised? No. Did I read a whole entire book? Yes. So we're gonna update you on the entire book that I read last night. Good morning. Who read an entire book last night because they had insomnia? That would be me. So I have a whole entire book update for you guys, and I have to do it kind of quickly because I do have class today. Phase of Fate by Coralie June. I wasn't aware going in, and it's fine. It would be fine on any other occasion if I had time to like binge a series or whatever. Phase of Fate is the first book in the Phase Mountain Pack series, and I discovered that I believe the first 3 books, or at least maybe the first 2, are going to be about the same couple. So I didn't get like an HEA at the end of this book, and I really needed one after Penpal. I just really needed one. But I am intrigued by this world that Coralie June has set up. At first I was like, oh no, I'm picking up a YA, because our heroine, Hallie, she is 17 when we first meet her in the first chapter. Her parents are kind of like this guardians of this pack land, Phase Mountain, and every single year there's this kind of like ceremony where humans go to Phase Mountain and they see if they are going to be bonded with a shifter. And if you experience this bond with a guardian shifter, then that means that you are a prodigy. And it's very interesting because we do get a little bit of history further into the novel about like how this all came about, what started this bond between humans and shifters and stuff. But basically, once the bond kicks in, it means that this human is special and they're talented in some area. Maybe it's leadership, maybe it's public speaking, maybe it's something to do with art, science. But every prodigy has something significant to bring to the world. Hallie is the younger sister. Her older sister Mona is a prodigy. She's very good at the violin, like amazing. And she has been bonded to a guardian shifter since she was like small, and his name was Jax. So they grew up together, and Jax is kind of like part of the family. Hallie has a bit of a crush on Jax in the beginning, and her sister just got a job in Sydney, Australia. Hallie is a little bit resentful because she has never bonded with a guardian shifter, and so it feels like she's not special. But I also really like that Coralie June does not make Hallie and Mona's relationship terrible. She actually really loves her sister, and Mona really cares for Hallie as well. And it's interesting because you see the pressure that Mona is under, and maybe she doesn't actually want to be this prodigy for violin or whatever. Well, she's having a going away party, and again, Hallie is 17. And something very tragic happens. And this is all in the first chapter, so it's not a spoiler. It does mention in the blurb that something makes Hallie mistrustful of shifters, which in turn makes her reject a bond later. This event is that Jax, her sister's guardian shifter, he suddenly turned feral, and her bond mark or whatever on her neck, mark started burning, and then Jax all of a sudden shifted, turned feral, and attacked Mona, and she died. And Hallie was a witness to this, so she watched all of this. And this is like so shocking, so traumatizing to her. Not only she's like witnessing her sister be killed, but also like Jax has been a part of her family for so long, and it's just crazy. So everyone's kind of like wondering like what's going on. Ever since Mona has died, the shifters have started to go feral when there's a new bond being made with a human. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. There's something going on. And a year later, Hallie accidentally gets bonded to another shifter named Theo, but like she doesn't want it. She doesn't trust shifters. She has PTSD about it. Like she doesn't like being close to shifters. She actually has a physical reaction to it. And I just find it very, very interesting. So this is going to be a romance between Theo and and Hallie, but it's really just beginning. We're just getting into the politics in the world, like what's going on. And the reason why the bond between Hallie and Theo is so significant is that Hallie is the first person to bond with a shifter. Theo didn't immediately go feral. Every bond that is starting to be made after Mona, the shifters are going feral, and so they're like recalling all the guardian shifters back to their packs and stuff. They're trying to figure out, is there a cure? What's happening? Because there's been a bond between shifters and humans for hundreds of years. Also, it's actually forbidden for guardian shifters and humans to like get together. Like there's no interspecies romance and stuff. So it's going to be kind of a forbidden romance. We did get hints of it in this book, but it's nowhere near complete. So yeah. It was an interesting first installment. I am intrigued. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. But again, I need some romance. I need some like straight up romance. I need the feelings. I need all the feelings. I need the HEA. I need the gushy stuff. So instead of reading one of the mini books on my Kindle that I had already downloaded, I recently saw that Caitlin had read The Roommate Arrangement by Saxon James, and it's an MM divorced hero roommate romance. And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like what I need right now. So I actually read the first chapter of this book, and I'm intrigued so far. The opening chapter introduces us to, I think his name is Payne, and he's been married for the past 5 years, and he just recently found out that his husband has created an OnlyFans and has been cheating on him. So he is obviously feeling so much betrayal, and his instinct is to go back to his hometown, and he's gonna be needing a roommate. So apparently, and I haven't gotten this far yet, but apparently his little brother's best friend is searching for a roommate, and his name is Beau. And it's gonna be like a forced proximity little brother's best friend romance, and I'm like, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Okay, so I hope that this one satisfies me in the romance department, because it was lacking in both of the books that I read for this vlog. So yeah, here's hoping. I won't be able to get to this book until later this afternoon, so there's not going to be any updates for a little while. I'll talk to you guys once I get more into the book and meet Beau. I really hope that this relationship like satisfies me. All right guys, a final reading update. So what happened was, since I have really busy Thursdays and Fridays, it's really hard to update because the only reading time I really have is right before I go to sleep. So I tended to just read, quite a bit, like 20 to 30% of The Roommate Arrangement. I think it's just Roommate Arrangement by Saxon James. And I finished it early this morning. I had a little bit of insomnia. What's new? What is new with my crazy sleeping schedule? But so I finished Roommate Arrangement earlier this morning. I thought it was cute. It was missing just a little bit of, or I don't want to say it was like missing anything, but I did find myself getting a little bored sometimes. But yeah, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Payne is our hero who his husband has been cheating on him. He discovered via OnlyFans that his husband had been doing it for like 2 years, and he decides to go back to his hometown. And Beau, which is his younger brother's best friend, Beau has always had a crush on Payne since he was in high school. And when Payne moves back to his hometown, he's kind of waiting for the sale of his and his future ex-husband's apartment to go through so that he'll have some money, and he also needs to find a job. And since he's moving back to a small town, there's really not a need for teachers. And he's just kind of working an odd job. He's living at his brother's house. His brother has 2 young children, and they consolidated the kids in one room so that Payne could have a room. This prompts Beau to offer up his spare bedroom. It was actually Marty, the brother, who recommended it, because he was like, I know that he doesn't want to be underfoot. And Beau's like, yeah, I'll let him be in my room, my spare bedroom. What could go wrong? And maybe the close proximity will make sure that I get over this crush sooner. Yeah, doesn't actually work like that. I really did like Beau's character. He was a little bit quirky. So he's a writer and he writes fantasy romance. I thought it was really super cute. And his train of thought is a little chaotic. His brain like works at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and he gets like writer's block, and he decides to do things to kind of like feel creative. Like one time he was building a fort because he was trying to figure out something technical for his book. And I really like how he and Payne bond, because, for most of their relationship, Beau was just Marty's best best friend and what didn't really have like a big connection to Payne other than, you know, the crush. But since they are living together, Payne actually gets to know Beau a lot, and he didn't even know that he wrote fantasy romance. He knew that Beau wrote books and that he had recently sold the rights to one of his books, so he was doing pretty well. But Beau's just been super stressed about this fantasy romance because he feels like he wrote himself into a corner. He wrote about a fortress that was like impenetrable, and he's like, I need it to not be for this scene. So I really like the way that they kind of like work that out with each other. But of course, you know, things get a little hot and heavy, and I will say the way that it started was a little bit weird. Payne just kind of like catches Beau jacking off in the living room one day because he thought he was home alone, or Payne came home early or whatever. And the big kind of like conflict in their relationship, because they kind of start off as fuck buddies, but the big conflict in their relationship is that Payne feels like he needs to make it alone for a while. Like he feels like he needs to be set up with a job, and he needs space away from being like married. And it's not that he has trust issues, because he's like, I definitely trust Beau and I kind of think I would want more, but I feel like I need to move out on my own. I need to figure out where my life's going before I give this relationship a shot. And Beau just kind of like, I feel like that's such a dumb thing that society perpetuates now, that you really can't ask for help and you have to be completely independent and you can't rely on somebody else to help you out. And especially in this situation, he says like, it feels like an even trade. I have a spare bedroom. I wasn't even trying to rent it out, and having you here actually made me realize my self-worth, that I didn't need to change my like quirkiness to find somebody and bend to what they want me to be. You made me realize that I'm enough and I need to hold out for somebody who will just accept me like I am, and that is something priceless. Like nobody else can give me that, and the least I can do is give you a place to stay. Like you don't have to move out. And also, I think that you're wonderful. I don't care that you don't have everything figured out. Like you don't have to have it all figured out to be more desirable, because Payne keeps on saying that he wants to earn that like respect that Beau feels for Payne. He wants to earn it, and Payne's like, I'm sorry. Beau's like, you don't have to earn it. You already have it. You already have it. So anyway, that was kind of like the big conflict in their relationship. I really like what ends up by happening, the direction that Payne decides to take in his career and his life and stuff. And it ended up by being a cute story, but also not like my super favorite. I don't know. I think I might give it 3.5 stars, but it was cute, but I feel like it could have been a little bit more engaging at some points. I just feel like the story kind of slowed down a little bit in certain areas, but I would be happy to read another book by this author in the future. So I think, for my next reads in the coming like week or week and a half, who knows how often I'll be able to read, but I'm kind of in the middle actually. So I'm kind of in the middle of Kingdom of Ash, and these are, I think I showed them off in another video, but for those of you who've never seen these before, these are dust jackets that I got off of the Dusty shop. They have Throne of Glass and also ACOTAR dust jackets, which I did order the ACOTAR dust jackets recently on their restock. I love them so much. I think that these are some of my favorite dust jackets. The ones made by Dusty Shop, period. I already have 2 sets of dust jackets for ACOTAR. I'm going to be reading this when I do have time, but there's not really a rush to read Kingdom of Ash, and I'm having an okay time kind of like breaking it up. I mean, it's a thick boy. It's a thick book. So that sounded really Cajun. Thick. I'm reading this, and then I also want to read, I am going to read The Pirate Lore by Sabrina Jeffries for our Patreon pick, and that's in like a week and a half. So I will be reading this one as well. But the current book that I'm actually listening to, and I'm just like telling you guys all my business because who knows when I'll have another chance to do like a sit down video. I might do reading vlogs, weekly reading vlogs every once in a while, or I'll do like a weekly wrap up when I have the time. So sorry, I'm just kind of like all over the place, like, I haven't sat down and talked for like the longest time. But currently the audiobook that I'm listening to is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, and this is a recommendation from Crystal. She said that she just really enjoyed it. I listened to the first 3 chapters and was immediately hooked, so I'm enjoying it a lot. Anyway, that is it for this reading vlog. Thank you so much again to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to check out the links in the description down below. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified on any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with a little HEA. Bye guys.